Alright, welcome everyone. Today we are going to do 2FA and OTP bypassing. So previously, if you haven't watched the previous video, you should watch it so you can actually continue it. Alright, now I have made this another flow chart for the beginners. Before we start, the problem we have, the thing I want to clarify is that the bypassing 2FA and OTP is not a beginner level. Alright, it's between beginner and intermediate, and the few tricks are going to be an expert level, but the entire scenario about the 2FA bypass is not a beginner level. Okay, so that's why I have decided that we are going to do way too much focus on the labs, on the practical, and I will be doing one lab per video. That way I will be able to explain and in entirety that why we did something and what we are doing. Alright, so let's get into it. So first of all, whenever you have a 2FA code, right, what you should try is try with the blank OTP or blank 2FA code, because if the website don't have null checking, then you will just get directly logged in. Alright, and also there is another vulnerability which is going to be direct access. And what does I mean by direct access is that the 2FA page is just a static page, alright, not literally, but what I mean is that you can navigate when you log in, right, using username and password. You are technically logged in. Alright, now website is asking for 2FA, but website is not checking that whether you have completed the 2FA or not. So that way you can just browse to the other page such as my profile, my dashboard, and you would be effectively logged in. Alright, so you can use sitemap to find out the endpoints such as settings, profile, my account, admin, or dashboard, whatever it is. And you can also use directory fuzzing using any kind of tool. You can use burp to do that, you can also use ffog to do that, and you can also use dib, or you can use your manual tool. But I hope you understand this one. What I mean here is that it is asking for 2FA code, but rather than entering the 2FA code, what you are doing, you are just changing the URL to other endpoint, which is going to be maybe a profile. Okay, now, so that is the basic vulnerabilities. These two are actually a basic vulnerability. Now we have actually somewhat complicated way to bypass it. The first is other user OTP. Okay, what we are doing here is that we are going to use attacker's OTP or attacker's generated 2FA code into the victim's account. Okay, we can log in as with other users and we can bypass the 2FA, but how does that happen is that the website does not check that whether the same user who is logged in is actually accessing the 2FA code for the other account. Alright, for example, you just logged in with your account attacker1 and password1. Okay, you logged in, you generated your code, and when you sent a request, website is saying that in the request that verify attacker1. Okay, and if you just change verify attacker1 with your victim1, then it is possible that you would get a response cookie for that victim1, and you can just save that cookie and use it in the browser. Okay, so that is other user OTP, and if there is this vulnerability, then it is actually a pretty big one. And now we have other method, which is escaping the 2FA. Okay, it's a direct access, and this is the somewhat same, but I was not able to categorize it. That's why I just said escaping 2FA. What I mean is that most of the time developers forget to put 2FA on all entry points. For example, there is 2FA on login, okay, but not necessarily mean that when you are going to do a reset password, it is going to ask you for 2FA. Okay, most of the time this is very common. All right, I have seen this very commonly. When you reset the password, you are just directly logged in. Okay, you are not you haven't get prompt for the 2FA code. So if that present, then you will need to hack the reset password, and there is going to be video on how we can bypass the reset password, how we can spoof the reset password link and get the code. There is going to be a next video that is also somewhat advanced level, but right now you should understand what I mean here. Try to find any entry point where 2FA is not required. Okay, how you are going to do that? By manually. All right, you are going to check every entry point where 2FA is, and you are going to find if there is 2FA required or not, because developers forget. All right, when you are developing a very big application, there may be a multiple people of team, but there is possibility that they forgot to put protection on all pages. So that's possibility. Another thing we have is disabling. Okay, disable the 2FA. How? All right, so let's say you created an account, all right, attacker 1, and you go on your setting page to disable the 2FA and you copy that request. Now in the request you observe that there is some guessable character which identifies your username attacker1, all right, or it is in plain text that they disable 2FA for attacker1, and you can actually remove it and set your victim username, and the 2FA may be disabled for your victim. And this can potentially happen because I don't think when they are developing, most of the time it is possible that they forgot to secure the disabling 2FA. Okay, because it's just a very basic feature that there may be a common mind gap or mind slip by which they forgot to put the security there, and you may be able to disable the 2FA and just log in. And then of course we have the brute force. Okay, the brute forcing OTP are advanced level work, not a beginner level work. The reason being is that there is going to be a time limit, flow rate limit. Of course there is going to be not a single page, right? There is going to be a multiple pages by which you need to follow the redirection. So that way the brute forcing is somewhat advanced level, and I will make entire separate video for that. So today we are going to do a one lab, which is going to be a direct access, and then tomorrow we will do for the other user OTP, then of course this part, then disabling it and brute forcing it. Escaping 2FA is going to be a separate video when we are going to do next chapter, which is other authentication mechanism vulnerabilities. All right, so let's get into the practical. So today we have this lab, vulnerability is multi-factor authentication, right, and 2FA simple bypass. So it has given us the victim's credential, which is Carlos and Montoya, and you can actually, let's say I have already covered how you can find the username and password, all right, so but they have given here, but if they haven't gave that username and password, then you will need to figure out what is the victim, what is the password for that victim, and then if you are prompted with the 2FA, then you will need to identify how you can bypass it. The way I have created this series is going to be step by step, all of the problems and all of the preventions you are going to receive and how you are going to tackle it. So we can just say Carlos and Montoya, and we can log in, and as you can see it is asking for the security code 2FA, right? So first thing we can do is we can just send a where it is, yes, intercept. We can just send a blank code, and that way it may work. The first thing we did. So 1 2 3 4, let's log in. So we have this request, I am sending it to the repeater and just drop it. Okay, now here let's say what happens when we send a blank code. Okay, send. Okay, so it does not work, it is checking for the null code, right, missing parameter 2FA code. All right, so what happens when we say a wrong code, which is going to be of course the wrong 2FA code, right? Yeah, invalid security code. Of course you can brute forces, and brute forcing is pretty easy because it's only 4-digit number, but in real life you are going to receive 8-digit or even 12-character long 2FA codes. So brute forcing is not going to be an option at all. All right, brute force is not going to be option. So now let's understand the now let's follow the second part of our flow chart, which is going to be trying to identify direct access. All right, no user logged in. Okay, back to lab home. Let me close the burp suite, disable. All right. Okay, so what we can do, we can log in as a Carlos, and Montoya was the password. So this means is that we have effectively logged in, right? As you can see, we have effectively logged in, just we haven't given the 2FA code. And what is happening is that as soon as user is logging in, the website is asking for 2FA code, or website is just putting 2FA code page which is login to, right? So I can just change here and it should work. Okay, but let me just do it proper way. I am going to copy the cookie. Right, we have copied the cookie, we are not logged in, but let's log in as our actual username, WINER, okay, Wiener Peter, login, and we are going to receive 2FA on our email 0647. So we are logged in, right? And now if we see here, it is going to be a different cookie, or this cookie is for the Wiener user. What if I just change it, save it, and I say my account again? Does that work? No, it did not work. Zero 0805. Save and reload. Nope, so the changing cookie does not work. So let me try just manually. Wiener Peter, and there is my account, right? The endpoint is my account. I saw that before. 1752 login. So as you can see here, it is our one endpoint, which is my account. ID is equal to Wiener. Okay, so I may be able to do here ID is equal to Carlos. No. Alright, so there is my account, right? And we already have Carlos password, so we can just do like Carlos Montoya, and rather than here in login to, I can just put this my account ID is equal to Carlos, we can say, but let's just go in. What happened? Oh, okay. Okay, so we are logged in, right? I don't know why the cookie one did not work. It should be working, but okay, this is the way we logged in, right? And if you don't know what is going to be on my account, let's say your website is not allowing you to register the user, right? Then what you can do, you can use the F or any kind of directory fuzzing tool, or any kind of brute force tool, using a most common directory list. Even I think in the 10,000 you will find a lot of hits, and you can do that. All right, let me show you how you can do a fuzzing using burp suite. So that way you will be able to you would be at least able to do what I am saying. Intercept is on. Let's just say refresh. Okay, send to repeater and send to intruder. All right. So now what we are just going to do here, we are just going to add our variable here, right? Here we are going to add a list where we can just load simple directories, such as in the word list, where it is word list, right? You can just use this kind of common word list, right? It is asking for bash RSA and all, it is checking for that all, and you can just say start attack and it should work. You just need to do a status code, right? Filter by status code, and there is this empty which is 200. So of course we are getting on the index.php there or index.html, whatever is there. 404 means it does not exist, and there is this analytics, right? So there is also this option where after logging in we can go here, analytics. Okay, there is nothing, it's empty, but fine, it does exist. So this way you can do that. All right, I am not running entire brute force here, but this way you will be able to find the directories. How long the video is? 15 minutes. Well, that's fine. I will be doing another video which is going to be on this other user OTP, all right, or other user 2FA code. We are going to do that, and then disabling it if I can find the lab, and brute forcing it, and escaping 2FA we will be doing in the next video. The problem is that I am not able to find the legal labs or legal websites where I can show you on the YouTube how we can do that. So I am very constrained on that point. I will try to find as many as labs I can find for the 2FA bypass, and based on that I will make a video. All right. So this is enough for today.